And now, my friend, we come to the Presbyterians. A few witnesses must suffice, and since the founder of this denomination should have the greatest weight with his followers, I first introduce the illustrious John Calvin. Commenting on the immersion of the eunuch, which can be found in Acts chapter 8, verse 37, Mr. Calvin says this: "From this verse, we clearly see what was the rite of baptism among the ancients, for they were accustomed to immerse the whole body in water, totum corpus in aquam. At the present time, which is the 16th century, the practice has gained ground for the minister only to sprinkle water on the body or the head. The very word baptize, however, signifies to immerse, and it is certain that immersion was the practice of the ancient church." Will Presbyterians believe those men among them who will assert on the face of this witness that the word does not mean immerse, and immersion was not the practice of the primitive church? Calvin also declared this concerning the baptism of Christ. Moreover, from these words of Matthew chapter 3 and verse 16, we may learn that John and Christ administered baptism by the submersion of the whole body. Zwingli, the Swiss reformer, testifies to the same fact, as do all the great scholars of the 17th century. Here's Daniel Chamier, professor at Montauban, A.D. 1621. "Immersion of the whole body was used from the beginning, which expresses the force of the word baptize, whence John baptized in a river. It was afterward changed into sprinkling, though it is uncertain when or by whom it commenced." Baptizo is the term that Christ used when he commanded John to baptize him. Now, whatever act it denotes, it was the act the Holy Spirit says John administered to Christ in the river of Jordan. It was the only word Christ used when he commanded John to baptize the people, and the Holy Spirit testifies it denoted the act John administered to all the people, and that the 70 disciples administered. In a word, it was the term that Christ used when he gave the commission to his apostles: "Go ye into all the world, and teach all nations, baptizing them," etc. It is the only word used by Christ in enjoining the duty of baptism upon all believers. What did it mean when he used it? That it means now. He did not say baptize. The Holy Spirit, who selected every word the evangelists and the apostles used, never did use the word baptize. Now, my friend, burn this next statement deep into your memory. The word was not used in the English language or any other language before the translation of the Bible out of the Hebrew and the Greek languages into English. The word baptize was made by English translators by changing the O into an E, and the word baptism by dropping OS from the Greek word baptismos. Edward Beecher, who was, by the way, a pedobaptist, in his work on the import of baptism on page 5, tells us why and how it was made. "At the time of the translation of the Bible, a controversy had arisen as regards the import of the word, so that although it was conceded to have an import in the original, yet it was impossible to assign it in English any meaning without seeming to take sides in the controversy then pending. Accordingly, in order to take neither side, they did not attempt to give the sense of the term in a significant English word, but merely transferred the word baptizo with a slight alteration of termination to our language. The consequence was that it does not exhibit its original significancy to the mind of the English reader, or indeed any significancy, except what was derived from its application to designate an external, visible rite." The reader can see the ignorance manifested by those who refer to Webster's for a correct definition of baptizo by looking under the word baptize. Now, Webster's is an English dictionary, and it gives every word which the people call baptism. While the term baptizo has a definite meaning in the original, yet the translators saw if they should translate it, they would seem to be given the advantage to one of the parties. So they changed the O into an E and let it stand. Hence, the word has no meaning, and all that can be learned from it is from the connection in which it stands. The Apostle Paul makes it clear what this word means in Romans chapter 6 when he says, "Know ye not that so many of us as were baptized into Jesus Christ were baptized into his death? Therefore, for this reason, we were buried with him by baptism into death." Christ and the Apostle Paul and the brethren of the church at Rome were buried to represent death. John the Baptist, therefore, buried Christ in the waters of the Jordan to represent death, and Philip took the eunuch into the water that he might more easily bury or immerse him. Paul tells the church at Colossae in chapter 2, verse 12, that they were buried with him by baptism, and this can only be properly done by immersion in water. Now, in this way, we have found the correct definition of the untranslated word baptizo and the new man-made word baptize. Now, my friend, if you have not been immersed in water in the name of the Holy Trinity, then you have not been baptized at all.